Hey everyone, Evan Kirstel. Really excited for the chat today around solving the toughest CX challenges out there today with Kennedy Pereira of Uniphore. Kennedy, how are you?
Doing wonderful, Evan. Glad to be here with you. How about yourself?
Glad to meet you. We followed each other on social media for a while, and I've of course been following all the good work you guys are doing. You're based in San Jose, so it looks very sunny and nice there at the moment. Um, you have a really interesting background with AT&T and much more. Maybe introduce yourself, a little bit about your biography and your current role at Uniphore.
Absolutely. So I spent 16 years at AT&T. The role that I had prior to leaving AT&T was running all of AT&T's billion-dollar global voice and collaboration practice, and
Nice.
it was across the entire ecosystem of UCaaS, CCaaS, CPaaS, as well as all of the underlying voice capability that we delivered to market. So had a fantastic time running that business, and then I was recruited away to come join Uniphore, this exciting conversational AI startup here in Palo Alto. Just a little bit about what I do at Uniphore. I run all of the strategic partnerships and alliances for the CCaaS, VARs, hyperscalers, and telco channel globally. And Uniphore, if you're not familiar with them, are the leading conversational AI platform globally. We operate in 10 regions and we have language capabilities across the globe. So, for example, Arabic, right? German, um, variations of English, both in the UK as well as in Australia, right?
Many variations, right?
Yes.
Right.
We offer up Hindi and Kannada in India, and that's where the company originally got its start. We offer up capabilities in Japan as well, and the list goes on. But
Mhm.
end-to-end conversational AI platform that's absolutely tuned towards accelerating customer experience for brands globally.
Fantastic. Well, give us a snapshot of where things are in the conversational landscape. This whole segment has been like wildfire. No pun intended there.
Indeed.
But it's been super exciting. So many entrants from the big tech giants that we all know through to innovative startups and early stage companies like yourselves. So, what is conversational AI or conversational automation? Maybe give us a concept
Absolutely.
from your perspective, because there are many different definitions.
From the early days to Watson, and then certainly what everyone's familiar here with Alexa, if you will, right? It's evolved to voice assistants, and then onwards to Google CCAI, if you will. The capabilities spread the gamut in terms of what conversation AI can do, but specifically as it relates to the contact center, what expectations are around conversational AI has evolved, right? Originally, it started out as a chatbot, and how do you automate an experience when somebody came to your website looking for care and support, if you will. And that has now evolved to full-fledged voice as well as chat and multimodal capability. All of that self-service served up at the onset. And you're seeing that automation now play out in real time. The underpinning of that is the data, right? Access to that data is crucial in order for the voice bot and the chat bot to respond in a convincing manner. You get to a certain point in the workflow when self-serve alone just won't cut it, and
Mm.
a real life conversation is required. And this is where Uniphore really shines, when you have the ability for our conversational AI agent that's actively listening to both what the consumer is saying and how the agent is responding, and it's prompting the agent in real time what to say next based upon a series of intents, if you will, right? And based upon a series of entities. And so a very simple example could be a unified agent desktop. So all of the integrations into the system of intelligence is already done. So you're
Mhm.
greeting the customer, thanking for their business, thanking them for the last purchase they've made, talking to them about what it is that is impacting them for the moment, if you will, right? And then typically what you'll find is in any general conversation that occurs with the contact center, there are certain promises that are made, if you will, right? And quite often, upwards of 50% of those promises fail to get delivered. So what we do have in our arsenal is the ability to automate that entire experience based upon a set of business rules. So the CSAT at the outcome of that and the customer lifetime value at the outcome of that becomes rather strong. And that's resonating with our large clients, if you will. And then finally, the last piece of that conversational AI platform is the analytics, the underlying analytics, if you will. The ability to understand at scale what's happening um, across the entire contact center gamut, right? Because there might be large tier one clients that have contact centers that serve different functions of the business. But at the end of the day, you want a snapshot of how the KPIs are being impacted. And then what are you going to be able to do as a result of those learnings to go change up the experience, right? All of this is delivered in a low code, no code platform. So based upon use cases that start to arise on the data that's already been mined, it's underpinned by our generative AI and our LLM models, you can now go and implement rapid changes to the environment. So that way you're addressing key concerns as you start to see those concerns arise in the contact center environment.
Yeah, that's super exciting. And this is right in line with everything I heard at Customer Contact Week in Las Vegas a couple weeks ago, where they might as well have called it the Conversational Automation Week, because that was right in your sweet spot, pretty much the
Certainly a
whole
strong focus,
event.
yes.
Yeah, there was a huge focus there. So how do you talk about ROI? Lots of tech talk here, which is great. I'm a geek here.
Indeed.
But when you talk to, CIOs, CEOs, CFOs, how do you help them convert these conversations into ROI, real ROI, and how do you measure
Absolutely.
that? What say you?
Absolutely. So if you look at the underpinning of a good digital transformation strategy, it's a three-legged stool, right? You've got customer experience, you've got employee experience, and revenue acceleration. And all of those function really well together in a well orchestrated symphony to deliver the outcome, right? And those outcomes being the underlying KPIs and OKRs that the C suite is oriented around. And so when I look at it from that vantage point, by far, what really moves the needle is revenue acceleration. And so when you look to frame up the ROI, if you will, how much money are you leaving on the table? So I'll
Hmm.
contrast this with a use case for a large telco, right? Um,
You
conversation.
have you have a little bit of experience there with a
Indeed,
large telco.
indeed, right.
Okay.
And you'll find this is like always a mechanism that plays out when the next upgrade cycle happens for the next iPhone or for the next Samsung device, right? And you've got callers calling in saying, "Hey, I'm ready to cancel my service," and so the cancellation is taken, and they move on, and that's a huge missed opportunity to deflect, a missed opportunity to save. And so there's a series of motions that you can put in place to not only save that customer, right? Because it costs a lot more to add a new customer than to retain an existing one. And so rather than having to go through an onerous process where you're waiting for a series of approvals, look at shipping out the latest device to them, right? That's been one of the biggest gripes of existing customers is, why can't I get the same deal that you're offering and extending to a potential new customer? So the revenue acceleration piece really helps move the needle. But what's hidden in all of this is also the employee experience, right? Customer experience is a direct outcome of employee experience. Two things you'll find when it comes to employee experience. In the contact center, and you probably know this better than I do, the average tenure for a rep is 24 months. Then they're burned out, they're ready to go do something different, right? But on the onset of that, the average tenure for a new hire from an onboarding process is 6 months. So we have the ability to rapidly shrink that if
Hmm.
you are creating an environment that takes the engagement with the end consumer and gives them a series of predictable outcomes. That is of significant value, right? So having that integration into knowledge management, having that integration into quality management, underpinned with all of the NLP, all of the RPA, all of the conversational AI elements that go along with it, that becomes really poignant for the end representative, right? For that end agent, the ability to quickly look at workflows, the ability to quickly respond to a consumer as they're calling in, all of that delivers value, right? So to take that 6-month onboarding period and shrink that down to a matter of weeks, that is of huge value to the brand, right? That's a huge value to the C-suite. And when you impact that EX, that automatically delivers compounding returns on the CX side.
Wow, great how you laid out those three pillars: revenue, customer experience, employee experience. So let's get our hands dirty. Sort of which industries are at the forefront of, in your opinion, transforming customer experiences? You have any use cases or insights? You've got, every industry really is being affected.
Indeed.
Uh, but what are your sweet spots there, would you say?
Sure. So from our vantage point, Evan, we are seeing significant surge of interest and engagement in banking, financial services, and insurance as being as one industry, if you will. On the healthcare side, both the payer and provider. Certainly on telecom and utilities could be a subset of that because it kind of follows almost a similar model. And then travel and hospitality, right? So high level use cases, when we look at each of these, we've talked about the revenue acceleration piece on the telco side. So I won't belabor that. There are quick time to value solutions that we can go implement. Typically, when somebody looks at a conversational AI platform, the question is always where to start, because if it's not done in a prescriptive manner, you could end up boiling the ocean. So what we've done is we've taken um, outcomes and boiled them down into time to value packs, if you will. And in those time to value packs, they span the revenue side, they span the collection side, if you will, and the list goes on, right? So there's that. On the healthcare side, both on the payer side and on the provider side. So when you look at it from a perspective of open enrollment, or even from a perspective of Medicare eligibility, those processes are often broken. And then they're also governed by a series of compliance requirements. Non-compliance could end up costing the company a lot of money. So taking all of that into account, and again, boiling that down into time to value, in terms of how quickly you can address eligibility, how quickly you can, on the provider side, talk about um, drawbacks in certain medications that consumers are calling in asking about, how quickly you can end up with appointment scheduling. In the healthcare space, this is especially poignant. So I'll take a couple minutes here.
Yeah,
Uh,
please.
we, go about our daily lives. In the course of our daily lives, things come up, and when things come up, appointments get missed. We're looking at it through our lens. When you look at it through the provider lens, the cost of a missed appointment can be rather significant. So take a specialty practice, for example, right? And you've now got a specialist that's teed up to see the consumer that's coming in for a scan, if you will, right? And you can take that and you can extrapolate amongst the myriad amount of healthcare availability out there. The cost of a missed appointment, based upon discussions that we've had with actual doctor practices, they can vary on the low end from $3,000 into the high end, to $20,000. So
Wow.
rather expensive endeavor around missed appointments, if you will. So bringing a degree of automation in there becomes rather critical. It ends up saving money immediately. It's a great impact to the bottom line, and it ensures that those resources are going to be tuned towards actually helping the next person in need, rather than having that as a slot that is not going to be filled, if you will, right? So on the healthcare side, that is getting a lot of attention. And then you start to look at the um, travel and hospitality side. So
Mhm.
on the travel and hospitality side, you've seen what happens with weather disruptions, and with a large carrier, that one incident ended up bringing down the entire system. And
Wow.
so, how do you go mitigate that, right, in a multimodal fashion? How do you ensure that if somebody is calling in to do an augmentation to an existing booking, you can handle all of that on the fly, either in a self service manner or through an agent assisted manner, right? So, those again are time to value packs that we bring to bear. So, these are the industries where we're seeing a surge. And this is how we're responding. The last one is on banking and financial services and insurance. So, dispatch for someone that has a vehicle that is already broken down from an insurance perspective, right? Or even as in an accident. So, ensuring that is coordinated with a high degree of precision when they show up, automating the entire engagement to taking the complaint, taking all of the
Hmm.
photographs, getting that submitted as a claim, and then all of the follow up. there's a high degree of precision around that that's both happening digitally as well as that's happening live. And what we bring to bear is we stitch that entire experience together and help deliver better outcomes.
Fantastic. Well, so many opportunities on your plate. So let's shift a bit. You're responsible for global partnerships and alliances. Tell us the landscape. How does it look now? It's changing tremendously from the traditional, half dozen providers.
Indeed.
How are you aligning with those key partners, value-added resellers, hyperscalers, integrators? I mean, it's a brave new world out there.
Absolutely.
For
I'll touch on hyperscalers, to start with. So we have a wonderful relationship and a very strategic engagement with AWS, right? And where hats off to our compatriots at AWS that do everything day in and day out to make this a rather strategic experience and a rather enjoyable experience, right? The future is definitely marketplaces, whether that is a marketplace with a hyperscaler or an app foundry type of experience with a CCaaS player or a sell through with a VAR, if you will, right? All of this is playing out in real time. So with AWS, we're integrated and certified and listed on Marketplace. So any client that's got an existing EDP can burn down their commitment on that EDP by purchasing Uniphore. But the value proposition that we are driving together with AWS is that better together story, right? So here, certainly AWS has their own offerings under the Connect side. And the clients that are looking to explore different components of Connect can certainly have Uniphore as a conversational AI platform that'll ride on top of that. But there are also clients that are looking to purchase a conversational AI platform where they don't have Connect today. And the beauty of Uniphore is we can ride atop any existing CCaaS platform, right? Or the large CCaaS platforms today. So
Mhm.
Genesis, Avaya, Five9, Cisco, and in AWS. These are
Oh,
all where
wow.
we have integrations today, right? And we can deliver that end experience and outcome. On the Genesis side, we are a premium app foundry partner, and there are components of our capabilities listed there. You'll find with the CCaaS players, there are some things that they would prefer to hold on to, as is natural, right? And
Mhm.
there's other things that they would look for you to come in and deliver. And so when you look to players like Genesis and Five9, where we shine rather well is with our agent assist capabilities, and then
Mhm.
certainly on the analytics side, right? And with Cisco, we're fully integrated and certified on the entire UCC stack. We're in Solutions Plus today for our agent assist and our analytics capabilities. We've got a great motion there with the Cisco leadership team on the CCBU side, and we've got use cases and wins already documented with Cisco, and that's certainly looking to expand our go-to-market engagement with them, and that then tees up the entire VAR community, right? So on the VAR side, we have relationships today with both Presidio and with WWT. What's in scope are a couple others. I can't really foreshadow them right now until they get executed, but let's check back here in a quarter and be happy to talk about them. But all in all, great cadence that we have established. And what we have established then allows us to execute globally, right? So not just here in the North American market, which represents about 70% of the global market, it also allows us to execute in the Middle East. It allows us to execute in Australia. It allows us to execute in Asia Pac, and allows us certainly to execute in Europe.
Fantastic. Well, you are a busy man, busy team, to
Indeed.
say the least.
I have
Um,
a wonderful team, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. I have a wonderful team that supports me here at Uniphore, and certainly of a very supportive leadership team as well. So it takes an orchestra, right? Not just internally, but when we face off with the market, that seamless experience designed for delight is what ends up winning that conversation with the client, and that's what's driving our success.
Fantastic. So you're very heads down. You have a lot of work on your plate, but where do you
Indeed.
see the space evolving next? And by next, I don't think we can look forward more than a year or two these
Right.
days. But what are you most excited about on the technology front, roadmap front?
Absolutely. So things, as you know, Evan, are moving at light speed in this space. daily advances that we're seeing in generative AI and with the underlying LLM models and the use of foundational models is something that we all, are going to continue to keep an eye on, right? The advances are rather staggering. The ability to integrate all of that capability when you face off with a client is what really excites me. So, for example, if you're in a video conversation with a client on the enterprise side, if it's a B2B type environment, the ability to look at using underlying generative AI models, on the image manipulation front,
Mhm.
and looking to how quickly you can troubleshoot an error that's happening on the end client side in a manufacturing type environment, for example, or even in a healthcare type of environment where you're doing diagnosis in real time. That starts to open up some really interesting use cases. We're in early innings on the generative AI side. What I think we're going to start to see play out is really differentiated experiences that bind the brand even more closely with that end consumer. And it's a make or break moment. The ones that get it right are going to deliver such superlative experiences that it'll be a no-brainer. It'll be an ecosystem lock. You won't change because the experience is so sound, right? So that's what excites me. That's what keeps me up at night, and that's kind of how we continue to orient, be prepared for all of these advances that are being offered up.
Fantastic. Well, your enthusiasm is really infectious, and congratulations on this exciting journey. It must be quite a sea change from big, big tech, AT and T, to an early stage company like Uniphore. But you seem to have dived right in.
Indeed, I'd say some similarities there. So at
Uh-huh.
AT&T, we actually stood up a white label cloud contact center offering that was 5.9 under the hood. And
Mhm.
so it is an opportunity to look at all of the learnings that we had over there and come applied in this scale up environment, and it's certainly yielding results. So rather excited about what the future holds for us here at Unifor.
Well, the future is bright. We're heading into the summer months. Any travel trips, personally, professionally, coming up? Are you going to take a little respite
I
here
am.
as
I'm
we?
planning on taking a week off here. I know, in Valley terms, that's a long time. But here at the end of August, planning end of July rather, planning on taking up some time off. I've got my brothers and sisters that are flying in from Canada and
Oh,
UK,
nice.
and we're going to show them a good time around California.
Oh, that's fabulous. Well, wonderful time. Thanks so much for joining and sharing all of your insights. And thanks for watching, everyone. Feel free to reach out, tweet out with any questions or comments. Look forward to your feedback. Take care, Kennedy.
Thank you for having
Bye
me,
bye.
Evan.